Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are wrestling with something pretty interesting. A brand new phone trying to do, well, almost the impossible.
Yeah, shaking things up in the mobile world without making you empty your wallet.
Exactly. We're taking a really close look at the CMF Phone 2 Pro. Now, the marketing buzz is all about style, speed, and stamina,
Mm-hmm.
all supposedly packed into this affordable device that's aimed squarely at undercutting the big players.
Right.
So our mission today, go past the shiny spec sheet. We need to figure out if these claims actually hold up in the real world.
Or if it's just, clever marketing covering up something average.
Precisely. Is it the real deal?
It's a fascinating gamble for CMF, isn't it? Because you look at what they're listing. I mean, 50-megapixel camera, that 20x zoom they keep mentioning.
Right, the zoom.
120 hertz AMOLED screen, which sounds great, and this huge 5,000 milliamp hour battery. On paper, it looks impressive.
It really does.
But like you said, for any company trying to muscle in, the key question, really, the one we need to dig into from the sources is, do those specs actually give you, the user, a smooth, reliable, and frankly, enjoyable experience day to day?
Okay, let's unpack that. Starting with the first thing you actually touch, the design and the build quality.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when a phone aims for this kind of price point, the worry is always premium feel just means, well, shiny plastic.
Right. Cheap and cheerful, maybe.
But the sources jump right in, highlighting the look. They describe this clean white finish as understated yet elegant.
And that choice, that aesthetic, it's actually really important, I think. They're deliberately stepping away from what a lot of mid-range phones do.
Which is?
The loud colors, the flashy bits trying to grab attention. CMF went for this almost minimalist, clean design.
Yeah.
And that immediately makes it feel maybe more expensive, more mature than it is. It's quite a smart move, focusing on that restraint.
Okay, but what about holding it? Does it feel solid?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big phone, 6.77 inches. That can feel like a brick sometimes.
That's where it gets interesting how they tackle the ergonomics to sort of counter that size.
How so?
Well, the profile's very slim, and they've curved the edges quite significantly. These aren't just looks, they're engineering choices. They make sure the phone actually sits nicely in your hand so it doesn't feel as bulky as the screen size might suggest. And the sources do confirm the frame feels solid. It has a reassuring weight to it, kind of belies the price.
You mentioned the finish-resisting fingerprints earlier. That's a huge deal for glass backs, isn't it? Always smudged. Was that intentional?
It really seems like it was. The sources specifically note the glass treatment means it resists fingerprints better than you'd expect.
Okay.
So in daily use, what that means for you is the phone keeps looking clean and elegant without needing a constant wipe down. It's a small thing, but it boosts that perceived quality over time.
Totally agree. So, connecting this back, it seems the reviewers felt CMF nailed the first part. Solid build, thoughtful design.
Yeah.
It creates that premium feel without the premium price tag. That's the foundation, right?
Absolutely. That's the base they build everything else on, which lets us move nicely into the screen experience.
Right, the daily experience.
Yeah.
And the display is often where you really see the cost cutting,
Yeah.
Bad colors, maybe sluggish.
Compromises.
Yet the review calls this panel one of the stars of the show. We're talking FHD plus AMOLED here.
An AMOLED screen itself, at this price, that's already a big plus. But the sources say the quality here is actually really good.
I mean,
You get those deep blacks, really rich, vibrant colors, great contrast, everything you expect from good AMOLED, basically. So watching videos, scrolling photos, it's just a nice visual experience.
but visuals aren't just color, right? It's about fluidity now. And this has a 120 hertz refresh rate.
That 120 hertz, yeah, that's absolutely key. It makes the whole phone feel fast, almost regardless of the chip inside sometimes.
How so?
Every swipe, every scroll, every animation just feels immediate, seamless. Whether you're just flicking through menus or playing a fast-paced game, it keeps up. There's no feeling of lag or the screen catching up.
Okay, but you mentioned price point. There must be some trade-off with the display, surely.
Yeah.
Where did they find a compromise?
There's always a nuance, yeah. So while it holds up really well outdoors and HDR stuff looks pretty punchy, the sources are careful to point out it's not quite the brightest panel on the market. So in really harsh, direct sun, maybe you'd squint a little more than with a top-tier flagship. But overall, it's a high-quality screen that definitely performs better than you might expect for the money.
Okay, so solid display. Let's shift gears to the engine room. Performance and software. This phone runs Nothing OS 3.2. If you're coming from, say, a Pixel with stock Android or maybe a Samsung with One UI, what's the Nothing OS experience actually like?
This is actually one of the phone's biggest selling points, according to the reviews. Nothing OS 3.2 is described as really lean, very efficient.
Lean how? Less clutter.
Exactly. Minimal bloatware. You're not getting a ton of pre-installed apps you didn't ask for. And visually, it has its own distinct style.
The dot matrix stuff.
Yeah, that signature look. Clean lines, smooth animations, those dot matrix elements. It gives it personality, but without being, overwhelming or confusing.
So it's not just about looks, it's about efficiency too.
Yeah.
Control.
Precisely. If you like having customization options but want a clean, fast interface, the sources position it as one of the best Android experiences out there.
And that speed we feel isn't just the 120 hertz display then.
No, it's the software optimization working with the hardware. They're tightly integrated, so multitasking, jumping between a few demanding apps, it handles it really well, apparently. No major stutters or lag.
Okay.
Which proves those specs aren't just numbers, they translate into a genuinely fast, reliable daily experience, which is exactly what we were asking at the start.
All right, let's pivot to stamina.
Yeah.
Because a great phone is useless if it's dead by 3 p.m.
The dreaded battery anxiety.
Totally. And the battery life here is listed as a major highlight. It's got a big 5,000 milliamp hour battery, we know that.
Yeah.
But the challenge is powering that hungry 120 hertz screen all day. So what does that mean in, real-world usage?
The longevity seems genuinely impressive, especially with that high refresh rate active. The sources state it comfortably lasts a full day of heavy use.
Heavy use meaning?
Lots of screen time, maybe some gaming, streaming, GPS, the usual stuff.
Okay.
And maybe even more impressively, for lighter users, less intense activity, it apparently stretches well into a second day quite often.
Oh, okay, that's significant.
It really is. And that software efficiency we talked about, that plays a big role here. The OS isn't just draining power in the background. Even typical battery hogs don't kill it as fast as some competitors.
That endurance is a massive selling point, especially in the mid-range. What about when you do need to charge? Are the speeds any good, or are you waiting hours?
No, not hours, but this is maybe a slight area of compromise. The sources called the charging speeds respectable enough.
Meaning, not super fast.
Yeah, they won't set any speed records like some of the crazy fast charging flagships, but it's efficient enough that you're not tethered for ages.
Right.
And honestly, given how long the battery lasts in the first place, the charging time feels acceptable. It seems like a deliberate choice CMF made prioritize longevity over breakneck charging speeds.
Makes sense. Okay, beyond battery, we need solid connectivity. Is this phone ready for modern networks, travel, that sort of thing, fully unlocked?
Yep. Built for exactly that. Sources confirm it's fully unlocked, 5G ready right out of the box. So setup should be easy regardless of your carrier.
And in use. Signal quality, Wi-Fi.
All reportedly solid, reliable signal, clear calls, and importantly, stable Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So if you're streaming music or tethering your laptop on the go, it should just work dependably.
Good, good. All right, let's tackle the camera. This is often the make or break feature for so many people.
Absolutely critical.
The main sensor is 50 megapixels. Let's start with the good news. What are the photos like when the lighting is decent?
In good light, that 50MP sensor does a solid job. It captures plenty of detail, the colors look natural, not overly boosted, and the dynamic range is pretty commendable.
So good for everyday shots.
Exactly. For most daytime photos, family pictures, landscapes, maybe some close-ups, it delivers consistent results that most people will be happy with. It's a reliable point and shoot.
Okay, but this brings us straight to that big number they advertise, 20x zoom.
Ah, yes, the 20x zoom.
That sounds ambitious for a phone at this price. Is it too good to be true?
Well, this is definitely the major trade-off in the camera system, and we need to be crystal clear here, based on the sources.
Go on.
That 20x zoom, it's entirely digital. It is not optical zoom.
Meaning it's just cropping the image.
Essentially, yes. It's cropping in on the main sensor's image and blowing it up, not using actual telephoto lenses to magnify the scene properly.
And what does that mean for the actual photos you take? What are the results like?
They vary a lot. At lower zoom levels, say 2x, maybe 3x, the images hold up okay because the main 50MP sensor has enough detail to work with.
But push it further.
The moment you start pushing towards that 20x maximum, the review explicitly notes softness creeping in. Details get muddy, things look processed.
So not great for serious zooming then.
Definitely not. It's a feature that looks great on a spec sheet, gets headlines maybe, but its actual practical use for you, the user, it's pretty limited. It's not for sharp, long-distance shots.
Okay, so the verdict on the camera is dependable for everyday stuff, but don't buy it thinking you're getting amazing 20x zoom shots. What about low light?
Low light is described as solid. Thanks to the sensor size and the software tuning, it manages noise reasonably well and captures usable images in dim conditions.
But again, not flagship level.
Exactly. It gets the job done consistently for, dinner photos or city lights, but it won't compete with phones aimed at professional level photography, especially for super crisp night shots. Everyday consistency is the name of the game here. So, if we kind of tie all these threads together, the design, that vibrant AMOLED, the clean Nothing OS, the reliable performance, and especially that standout battery life, it all builds a really strong case. The overall judgment from the sources seems to be that this phone represents excellent value.
So it's more than just specs on a page.
Right. It feels like a polished, coherent smartphone experience that really focuses on what matters day to day rather than just chasing gimmicks.
So summing up then, what does this all really mean for someone considering this phone? It sounds like the CMF Phone 2 Pro actually delivers on that promise.
It really seems to.
By zeroing in on those core user needs, like the battery, the smooth software, the decent build, while making smart design choices. It does make a convincing argument for feeling premium without that flagship price. It's stylish, it seems capable, and maybe most importantly for everyday life, it's really long-lasting.
And that brings us perfectly to a final thought, something for you listening to maybe mull over.
Right.
We just talked about the camera's weakness, that 20x digital zoom compared to its massive strength, the 2-day battery life.
Right.
So, how should you, as a smart consumer, weigh the value of something designed mainly to look good on paper, that big 20x number, versus the actual daily usefulness and proven reliability of something like an exceptionally long battery life?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, that whole balancing act, between the flashy feature and the core function, that's really what defines value in this super competitive mid-range market today, isn't it?